morning. The opening song gonna be number 520. He hideth my soul.
Good morning. We're glad that you're here again today. And so now let's bow our head for an opening prayer before we start. Dear Heavenly Father, we just want to thank you for looking back the way you have worked in our past and for the way that you will work in our future. Thank you for your mercy, for your grace that you show towards us. And I pray now that you will be with our speaker this morning, Walt, and I pray that you'll be with all of us. I want to thank you for your protection so far this week, and for the way that you will work the rest of the remainder of the week. In Jesus' name, amen. And just a reminder, again, we are having our regular meetings. If you haven't been here before, our from ages 1 to 5 will be meeting in the church Sabbath school room. Ages 6 to 11 in the red barn, and ages 12 and up is meeting in the dining tent. And there will be leaders there that will be leading out in various events. And that's all I have for now, and it's yours, Walt.
Good morning, y'all. How are you this morning? Good. We're going to try the computer again this morning. See how it does. This is probably one of the most, what I enjoy talking on the most is Old Mountain Remedies. God is good, isn't he? I was down in Brazil a couple months ago, and the plants they have are so neat that God has given as medicine. In the United States, the closest we have to the Amazon is Appalachia. And our Appalachian plants are that's where we have the most. And they're tremendously good for us. Yesterday, someone was having some issues with poison ivy, and what would we put on it? Jewelweed, yes. But that's not even in Appalachia. Does that grow here? Yeah, it's a tremendous plant. And God has given us just natural medicine to use. Well, let's take a look. This is an old log cabin in Appalachia, which you actually can see today even. We don't want to forget those basic laws of health, though. And so when I work with issues with a person having health problems, I don't want to forget to get to root cause. Now, yes, there can be an acute issue such as poison ivy, which you address that acute issue. But as we get into chronic issues, or even acute issues, can be because of not following these laws of health, but brushing up against what we call poison, or poison ivy, poison oak, poison sumac. That's a little different. But nutrition, exercise, water, sunshine, temperance, making the right decisions, fresh air, rest, trust in divine power. And as we talked about, another one that I now use is what was it? Pardon? A merry heart. That's exactly right. And where's that found? Proverbs 17:22. And so I find that's very, very important. Appalachia, this is literally when I was a boy, you would find these ladies. I had a great-grandmother that would look just like this. Then you go back further into the Indians, and I 2 weeks ago I had an opportunity to go and speak with Navajos, and that was so much fun to talk to them about chaparral and different herbs that they use as Navajos. And then you go back further in the Bible, and did the Bible have herbs? Absolutely, it did. And what about clay? Yeah, and that's your specialty down in Central America, South America is clay. And then what about charcoal? Yeah, what did Job have? He had a boil. And yes, you want to for charcoal to really do its job, it needs to be wet. But he did get in ashes. So we find throughout history, God has given us, these natural remedies to use. What I'd like to look at today is how to address health problems specifically. And so I'm looking at remedies by diagnosis. Now, if you get kind of grossed out a little bit, I warn you on this first one. I enjoy wound care. Wound care is so much fun. I liked wound care when I worked in regular health care. Where did I put my bottle? There it is. Thank you. When I worked in regular health care, I enjoyed wound care. But I enjoy it more now because I can get better results today than I did back then. I mean, what we're using now is better than Carrington products. It's better than a wound vac. It's amazing the natural treatments, how well it works. Can y'all see that okay? That's a fella's foot. Here's his heel. And it kind of looks like a shark got a hold of it, didn't it? He's a diabetic. He has, not only does he have a significant wound, they're getting ready to amputate that foot. And his endocrinologist called me. He's a diabetic. And she said, Walt, can you help with this? We're getting ready to amputate. He also has osteomyelitis, which is infection in the bone, which is even a huge issue in and of itself. So this is what it looks like in 2 weeks. We've got some decent closure here. We've got some good filling out here. And this is what we have in 4 weeks, just 1 month. We have total closure here. We've totally filled out here, and it's ready for a skin graft. So what do we do? What do we do? Pray. Exactly. That's the first thing you do. And even if you think you know it all, you don't. And first of all, as we said yesterday, the night before last, we talked about, Christ felt that power going out of him. You will not feel power coming out of you because you don't have power coming out of you. It is God that does the healing. It is not you. And so you pray and you ask for wisdom of how to address it because everybody's different. It is not a cookie cutter. And you may think that it's all the same, but there's everybody. We're like chemistry sets, and everyone's different. There's difference in. Give me some differences. How are people different? Pardon? Okay. Immune systems, age. Pardon? Where they're from. Like when I started out in healthcare or running an ambulance, I'd get on the radio, and actually, you didn't have a radio back then. You had the telephone that you dialed in, like emergency one. You called in to ER and you said, I have an 18-year-old white male, MVC, but I mentioned what race. Well, we had to quit doing that because they said that was racist. No, there's a difference. As we were talking, I was talking with a black lady just the other day. The differences in how different races can be different. And I have a good friend. He's a surgeon in Washington, D.C., Dr. Ted Watkins. He's a black physician. Every time he talks to me to ask me a question, or every time I talk to him, we always tell what race that we're dealing with. That's just normal. We're different. So you're right. Where they're from, could there be different health problems that person has that could affect it? It could be different nutrition issues that person has. It could be different financial situations that person has. Let's say you've got a person that doesn't have. I had a girl come in, and she was she was probably around 28 years old, I believe. She was on some really heavy drugs just stopped them cold turkey, started having some major withdrawals, went to the hospital. They said, we don't deal with people like you, and sent her to me. They said, maybe Walt can take care of you, help you. And so she came in, and I mean, she looked like a whooped dog. She had twin 10-month-old babies. She had no money, none. Her mother was having to take care of her. And I asked her, I said, where do you go to church? She says, I can't go to church. I said, why can't you go to church? She says, I'm not perfect. Only perfect people can go to church. What a lie. What a lie Satan had told this girl. And I told her, I said, have you killed anybody? She said, no. I said, let me tell you about a fella. He went and he saw this woman who was real good looking, got her pregnant, and to hide it, he killed her husband. Well, who was that? David. So I told her about David. And I told her about Saul, who became Paul, and all what Saul did, terrible, awful things, killing people. I said, you sure you ain't killed nobody? She says, no, I ain't killed nobody. I said, and I said, there's hope. There is hope. But she didn't have a lick of money. Her mama didn't have hardly a lick of money. And so could she afford to buy a juicer? The best thing I found for a person in that situation is to do a juice fast. It's like Hyper-Al, give him a tremendous amount of nutrients. And I said, you need to juice. But she didn't have the money to buy a juicer. She didn't have the money to buy stuff to stick in the juicer. I said, you reckon your mama's got enough that she could, you could go to the dollar store and get dollar store V8 juice? She said, I think she could. And that's what she did. She drank dollar store V8 juice. And did God bless it? Yeah, she came back the next week, and the girls at work did not even recognize her. She looked so much different in just 1 week of how. So God knows those situations. He knows the psychological issue going on in their head. Can that affect? Absolutely. You may not know. Why is this kid acting up? Well, it could be his mama just died. That's why he's acting up. It could be this lady. She's just, she's awful rude. Well, it could be she just lost a child. And she's just not thinking right yet. And so God knows what's going on in that mind. And so you pray. And then you ask God, what do I do? And then will you heal? Because God does the healing. So what we did is we prayed, and there's 2 keys in wound care. 2 keys, and do not forget these 2 keys, very important for wound care. Number 1 is nutrition. They've got to have copious amount of good nutrition. When we do labs on our patients to make sure that nutrition was there. And the best way I found to get good nutrition is juicing a person. It just tremendous juicing, nutrition. The next thing is perfusion, blood flow. And you can have issues with blood flow. Let's say you have a person that has, what's some things that can affect blood flow on wound care? Okay, coronary artery disease. They could have atherosclerosis, diabetes. Pardon? Restrictive clothing. Yes, absolutely. What else? What else can cause restriction on the capillaries? Dehydration. Okay, dehydration affects perfusion. Absolutely, because the blood is thicker, it's stickier, and that does actually affect perfusion. What else? Lack of movement. How about capillary pressure? So I would have a little tool that I would go around and measure underneath my patients that had wounds, and it would pump up, and it would tell what the capillary pressure was from that, what they were laying on or sitting on, to determine what the pressure was on the capillaries. See, our capillaries, they get as small as a piece of hair. And then you go and smash against it, and it slows down that blood flow. So you could have a person who has a wound, a decubitus ulcer or a bed sore. That pressure from the bed can press against that. I mean, you can put a patient in a wheelchair and put a catheter under their leg. They allow that nurse allow that catheter to go under their leg 1 hour. if they have compromised tissue, you can start a decube. In 1 hour, you can start having skin breakdown. And so you've got to keep that capillary pressure off. You've got to turn that patient every 2 hours, 24 hours a day. So you've got to have that good perfusion. Is there any habit that a person has that can affect circulation? What? Smoking. If they smoke, it don't work. I had this guy come in. He had a real simple wound. I mean, that wound wasn't no bigger than the tip of my finger. He'd been to the VA for 2 months. They couldn't fix it. He came in, and we worked with him for 2 weeks, and it was not healing. And just, what's wrong? And this was back years ago, and probably 20-something years ago. And I'm going, something's wrong. So I went and called my buddy, that black physician I was talking about, Dr. Ted Watkins. He's a surgeon. We used to work together. And I said, Doc, I said, this ain't healing. He said, what are you doing? So I told him what I was doing. He goes, yep, that's what we do. He goes, the only thing I can think of is he using tobacco. I said, that's it. He goes, you know he can't use tobacco. I said, you're right. It's my fault. So I went in and told the guy, I said, sir, I apologize. It's my fault. I knew you were smoking, and I failed to tell you got to stop smoking because it will not heal because tobacco does vasoconstriction. It's just kind of like that bed or atherosclerosis. You're going to have that restriction in vascular flow. And I said, you got to stop smoking. He goes, I ain't quitting smoking. I said, well, you saw it didn't work at the VA. It's not working here. There's nothing else I can do for you. You got to quit smoking. He got up, walked out, never saw him again. And then people have to make a decision. I can't make a person do something. Does God make people do things? If he don't make people do things, how can I make people do things? And so perfusion is so important. And so hydrotherapy, does that help perfusion? It does. So we did hydrotherapy. Now, can you do hot and cold on this? No. You will blister it. So nothing over, textbooks 102, 103. So that's what I did. It blistered the top of his foot. 102 degrees. That's not hot. Water in a hospital in the state of Tennessee in the bathroom cannot be more than 104 degrees because the patient might get burnt. Well, I was 102, 2 degrees below that. It still blistered him because of his skin integrity there. And so I went down to 100 degrees the next day, and he did fine. So nothing over 100, I've had no more problems since this foot right here at doing 100. And then I don't go colder than 70. Can too cold of a water injure it? It sure can. And so we did 3 minutes warm, 1 minute cool. 3 minutes warm, 1 minute cool, 7 times. And then also because he has osteomyelitis, we used the Alimed that we talked about the other day. We did 1 teaspoon twice a day. It takes 24 cloves of garlic to make 1 drop of Alimed. And we did 1 teaspoon twice a day. So that's over 2,000, almost around 2,300 cloves of garlic twice a day. And it's very, very strong. It's antibacterial, antiviral, antimicrobial, antiparasitic, antifungal. And so that was to address the osteomyelitis. Then what we also did is we sprayed the foot with allicin, the Alimed, because I wanted to get into that bone area there. And systemically, I wanted to get it in the system, pee up by mouth, and then I want to spray it topically, transdermally, to get that allicin in there. And then we made a salve. And the salve was real simple. See if it sounds familiar. Golden seal, myrrh, frankincense. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? Just instead of golden seal. I did not have pine sap. I used pine sap. So I use 1 part golden seal, 1 part frankincense, 1 part myrrh, mix it together thoroughly. And then I'll add 1 part of the pine sap. If I have it there, I didn't have the pine sap, so I use bee propolis. And don't mix it yet if you have the pine sap. Wait till you add the aloe vera. Added some aloe vera, now you can stir it, or it's a real mess just stirring it with the pine sap. And I want the consistency of pancake batter. And then what you do is you don't want to pack it like betadine brown sugar like we used to. You want to just paint it, just lightly put it on there. because we want it to slough off in 12 hours when we again do hydrotherapy, because we want to put more on there. And it's painful. And so you don't have to be digging all that dried and that messy stuff off. So I make it watery, like pancake batter. I don't want it to get dried. Put that on there, and then we put a charcoal poultice. Normally, we'll put, if it's an open wound, we'll put a barrier, because you can have tattooing, but they chose not to use a barrier. And that's what we did, twice a day, and prayed before each time. That's what it is in 2 weeks. That's what we had in 4 weeks, and he got a graft. Now, at the end of the 4 weeks, not only did this happen, his diabetes had gone away. The osteomyelitis had gone away, and that was cool. That was really cool. So you want to clean the wound. You want to do hydrotherapy, and that shouldn't say hot, cold. It should say warm, cool. 7 times, twice a day. Salve, golden seal, myrrh, aloe vera. You can use pine sap, pine oil, or bee propolis, and the aloe vera. You can use honey, but be careful with the honey. You don't want honey that is cut. The guy who I buy honey from, it's August, and he hadn't delivered honey to me yet. And he called me today, and I usually get it June, July, and I'm real picky because people cut it with high fructose corn syrup or whatever. And he had a bad honey flow this year, and I'm only getting 10 cases from him, so I'm not getting much honey at all from him this year. But local honey, if you can. What's the best honey for wounds that has been found scientifically? Manuka, yes, but local honey works fine. You can make a poultice, charcoal, cabbage. Anybody do cabbage poultices before? Yeah, cabbage poultices are great poultices. Yes?
In Honduras, I use, for those type of wounds, I use carrot, grinded up carrot, with the aloe vera and the panela, which is the sugar cane.
Okay.
And I put those poultices on there twice a day.
Which makes
and
sure
I do the hydrotherapy.
Makes sense. We used to use brown sugar in it. Yeah,
Right.
sure. So the carrot. I've
Yeah,
heard people,
carrot.
I've never done that, but I've heard people using that.
Yeah. we use
Excellent.
the
Yeah, carrot poultices are a type of poultice.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. You got to stop the tobacco and good nutrition. Pine sap. Who remembers Bob Jorgensen? Bob was a great guy, tremendous friend of mine, taught me pine sap, and it is amazing. Pine sap is good for most any wound, but not every wound. You cannot use pine sap on a puncture wound. And the reason, if you have a puncture wound, which might be a nail puncture, a dog bite, a cat bite, if you have that puncture, if you can't get in there to clean that out, it heals so fast that that the top will heal and the bottom can tunnel back out. And so, y'all know, if you do wound care, you'll understand tunneling. And so you've got to be able to get in there to take care of it. Mary Lou, we were still up in Virginia, and she was working in the garden, and she cut her hand open on something in the garden, just ripped it plumb open. And so I took her into work, and Dr. Franklin Kobos. Anybody know Kobos? Great guy. And at that time, before Kobos, he was going, wait a minute, I've taken emergency medicine, but I read Ministry of Healing, and we're not supposed to do, went back to school, went into anesthesia, and he decided, we don't want to use the ball peen hammer we talked about yesterday. Let's do some anesthesia. So Franklin went back to school, got anesthesia, and that's what he's still doing today. Well, Franklin was there, and at that time he was emergency medicine, and he said, you want to have some fun? I said, sure. Now, it's Mary Lou's hand, but I said, sure, let's have some fun. And he goes, let's put some pine sap in there. I said, yeah, let's do it. He says, it heals much faster. So he put some pine sap in there. It made a big old cut, and then he sutured it up, and it healed much faster than normal. Pine sap will not allow a pathogen growth, and it heals the tissue very, very rapidly. So for wounds, gum disease, mouth sores, immune system, cutting teeth. I've got 8 grandkids. 6 of them have cut teeth. 2 are just One is just a month and a half, and the other one's 4.5 months old. And they don't have that problem yet. But all the others, we use pine sap for cutting the teeth. Immune system. You listen to people. Like when this lady raises her hand, I listen to her because she has a lot of information to share. She's wealth of information. So I was teaching a class, and I was talking about pine sap, and this little lady way back in the back raises her hand. She says, "Can I tell you something?" "Yes, ma'am." She says, "Back in 1918, when I was a little girl," she said, "we lived in Southern California, and my daddy was a nurse, and he'd take us house to house taking care of people. Did that get my attention? What were the patients? The Spanish flu. He was taking his 2 kids into the house. So that got my attention." She says, "Well, when we come home every night, he'd take a pine knot, put it over a fire, and pine sap would drop out it into a cup, and into water." And I said, "Well, how much water, how many drops?" She goes, "I don't know. I was a little girl." She said, "But we never got sick." Well, when I moved back to Tennessee 22 years ago, I'd have the little ladies come in, and they would be up in their 80s and lower 90s, and they're gone now. And they would tell me about when they were little girls that they didn't have school buses up in the mountains, and they would walk to school, and their mama or their grandma would give them a piece of pine rosin about the size of a match head. Every single woman, that's what they'd say, size of a match head, and they'd chew it on the way to school. It kept them from getting sick. It's good for the immune system. Activated charcoal. Did y'all know charcoal looks like that? Yes.
Does it matter what kind of pine?
That's a good question. I had a good friend in North Carolina. He was the second largest landowner in the state, private landowner in the state of North Carolina. And he owned forests, and he had sawmills. And I asked him one time, did it matter? Because he had it on his trucks. In case the guys got cut with a chainsaw or something, he'd put pine sap in the wounds. And he said it did not. Any kind of that type of a pine tree. Yes. Activated charcoal, can you see why? You see a lot of surface area there? 1 teaspoon of pine sap has a surface area of a tennis court. I'm sorry, thank you. That's why I'm missing Mary Lou. I thought yesterday, have I said anything that Mary Lou catches sometimes? I'll say something like that and she'll go, "You said the wrong thing." So I'm missing her. So y'all can be like Mary Lou. Keep me straight. Charcoal. So what does charcoal do? Does it absorb or adsorb? Adsorbs. What's the difference? So let's say I have a sponge here. Now, these are some business cards. Anybody want some business cards? So you have a sponge, and you pour out some water on the table, and you go across. What is it doing? Absorbing. But let's say you have some flour, and you put some flour on top of there. It's dry, and the sponge is dry, and you rub it. Does it absorb it? No, it adsorbs it. It sticks to the dry sponge. So what happens is charcoal does not absorb, it adsorbs, it sticks to it. Well, I have this customer, and she's got a PhD, and she works at Oak Ridge. Y'all ever heard of Oak Ridge? At National Laboratories. And her PhD, her specialty is charcoal. That's her specialty. And what they do is they take and they, let's say they want to pull something out of something, they will use charcoal, and she told me there's different types of charcoal depending on what size of molecules they're trying to pull out. And then she says you can wash the charcoal and then use it again. I didn't know that. Well, we don't use a lot of charcoal like big factories or chemical places do, and so we just throw it away. And I don't know how to properly wash it. But you can literally, it can be cleaned. and reused. But that's why you have so much surface area, and a little bit does so much. Food poisoning, I have not found anything better than charcoal for food poisoning. Within 30 minutes, food poisoning can be gone. Indigestion, acid reflux, IBS, detox, foot bath for gout works very well for gout. But if used internally, if you use it within 2 hours of a script, it can adsorb it. I had a nurse call me one time. She said, Walt, frantically, Walt, I read the MAR wrong, medication administration record. And she says, I gave a lady way too much morphine. And it was way too much morphine. Fortunately, it was by mouth. And I said, protocol, use charcoal. And boom, like she didn't even give the morphine. Totally adsorbed. It's why we use it in the emergency rooms for overdoses. We used to use it on ambulances, but they don't let us anymore. They say it's too dangerous. Crazy. Charcoal poultices. What do you mix with your? Well, let me back up. So one time I was out. I wasn't into this yet. Mary Lou got into this before I did. I was so brainwashed in the allopathic side, and it took me a while. And I was mowing a yard one Sunday afternoon and ran over a yellow jacket nest, and I got 30-some stings. And literally I was shaking. And went in, and she's trying to think what to do for me. And she'd been studying on charcoal, and so she made little mud things of charcoal with water and put it on me. I quit shaking. I fell asleep. I woke up shaking. Well, she looked at me and she assessed, and she goes, what's different? Well, it was wet. It's dry now, so let me make it wet again. So she put more mud things on me, and I quit shaking. So then I found out, that's real easy. It needs to be wet. Well, what makes it stay, and also when it gets dry, it gets real messy too. Even when it's wet with just water, it's messy. So what's some things that we can do to make it hold the moisture better and be less messy? What?
Grounded up flaxseed.
Okay, flaxseed, psyllium seed. So I had a therapist that came from Switzerland, and he used psyllium powder. And it is amazing. That's what I use now. Flax is still good, but psyllium's a little more expensive, but it's much superior. You have less propensity to even tattooing with the psyllium. So I'll do 1 part charcoal, 1 part psyllium, and then I'll do between 5 and 6 parts water. I'll go do 5.5 first. And like I just got a batch of psyllium that it needs 6 parts water. 5.5 is too dry. 5 is too dry. Some psyllium I get, 5.5 is too wet. And so you just have to play with it and see each batch you get in. Charcoals, flaxseed, oatmeal, psyllium powder, do something to hold, mix well, add water. And that's important. When you do the psyllium and the charcoal, you've got to mix them well first. Don't add water before you mix them, because a psyllium congeal, and then you got messy charcoal. You got to mix it. So you got black and tan. Mix it till there is no black, no tan. It's gray. Now, when you put 5.5, 6 parts water in there, you're going to think he is plumb crazy, because it's so much water. But you mix it, within a minute, it's a black ball. And then I'll put it on a piece of saran wrap, put another piece of saran wrap on top of it. That's the hardest part, keeping that saran wrap from sticking together. And then smash it down and then roll it out. I use about 1/4 inch thick. You can put it in a Walmart bag if you want to. Just open Walmart bag, stick it in there, smash it down, roll it out, and cut it. Does the same thing. Add water, roll out between plastic wrap, 1/4 inch thick. Store if you want to store extra. It will mold, usually within about a week. It's kind of like grandma's bread. If you didn't eat grandma's bread in time, usually you ate it. It wasn't a problem. It was wolfed down fast. But if you didn't eat it, it would mold because there was no preservatives. Well, the psyllium has no preservative. It's the psyllium that's molding. So you got about a week in the refrigerator. If you're needing it if you made more than a week's worth, put it in the freezer. Put it in a freezer bag, and it'll last for years. Ashley, my daughter, she again, before I got into this. And she comes up to me. It was a Sunday afternoon. I was doing some yard work. And she said, Dad, look at my leg. And on the back of her calf was just nasty, necrotic, hot, red, hard. So I took her next door to an old doc. And I said, Doc Mundy, what do you think this is? Well, he ignored me. He wouldn't tell me. He says, Virginia, get me a poultice. And well, she pulled it out of the freezer and he put it on. I said, what is it? He goes, never mind. He prayed. And he says, bring her back tomorrow night, 5 o'clock, kind of like taking aspirin, come back and see me tomorrow. And he says, come back tomorrow after work. So got off work in time to go home, get her, took her back. Took the poultice off. It was not red. It was not hot. It was not hard. It did not look at all as necrotic as it had the day before. I mean, it looked so much better. And he said, Virginia, get me another poultice, put it on. And I said, what was it? He said, oh, it's just a brown recluse bite. She has no scar, none. Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Cutting up to the size, put the charcoal on it. You got the plastic on one side, you got the absorbent on the other side. Makes a real clean way to do charcoal.
It's called a chuck.
Yeah.
So I went to Battle Creek back 25 years ago, and there's a lifestyle center there that I went and learned from this physician, and they did a lot of charcoal poultices for breast cancer, lung cancer, and they used the chucks. Works very well. You're exactly right. Open it up, stick it inside the chuck, cut it what size you want. It's a great tool to use. Here again. Do not put it on an open wound. It can tattoo. I had a nurse that she was from Colombia, and she had, let me think, right here, on her hand right here, she had a dark black spot here. And when she was a little girl, her daddy put a charcoal poultice on there and had not put a barrier. And, you know, her skin's your color. She's from Colombia. But yet she has a black spot right here. And that was probably 15, 20 years later, and it was still that color because he didn't put a barrier, and it will tattoo. It can tattoo. Infected wounds, stings, bites, inflammation, gout, works good for gout, pain, cancer, eye infections, dental infections. And what I like the psyllium because it's got that rubbery texture, and you can tear off a piece, stick it in the mouth like a piece of backer, and stick it in there against your gum and your lip, and in your gum and your cheek, and put it in there if you have a gum infection, and pull it out, throw it away, put another one back in there. Works real well. Yes.
How would you use it for like an eye infection? Put it like an eye patch?
No, because it's not an open wound. And that's the neat thing about making a big piece. It's like biscuits. Do y'all make one biscuit at a time? No, you make a big old thing, cut your biscuits. Well, you just cut out what you need and roll it up, put it in the refrigerator, unroll it, cut you another piece. And you just, because it's not an open wound, just plumb put it on against the eye, put a piece of saran wrap on the outside because it has to stay wet, and that holds the moisture in, and that's all you do. Just stick it on the eye. Works good. I had a guy, I was at the fire hall one time, and we got toned out and for a person with a bee sting, and they were having a bad allergic reaction. My phone rang, and I looked, it was dispatch, answered, and it was Karen. Karen goes, Walt, where are you? I said, I'm Station 2. She says, I was hoping you're there. It's so-and-so. It's actually one of my firefighters. And she said, he just got stung. He ain't doing good. And so I know this, he's one of my guys. He is very allergic to bees. And so Walter had run to his truck to get his med bag because he has a better med bag in his personal than we do in the fire truck. And so I ran to the door and I said, Walter, it's so-and-so. So we took his truck because it's a whole lot faster than the fire truck. And got up there, and his skin was as white as a piece of paper. He was either totally unresponsive or he was fighting. Unresponsive or he was fighting. And he's ex-military, and boy, he could fight and back down, out again. His blood pressure was around 72/40. His pulse was up around 118. and ambulance was at level 0, no ambulance available, and we got a problem. And so I told his wife, I said, I wish I had some charcoal. See, they won't let us carry charcoal anymore. And she says, no problem. I bought you some from you 2 years ago. Ain't God good? So she sends her brother to get some charcoal. He runs to the garage, comes back with charcoal briquettes. Wrong charcoal. And so she runs inside, tells him it's in the bathroom, and brings it out. And I just poured it in my hand. Someone had some water, poured some water, mixed it up, and slapped it on there. He was stung here and stung here by one of them white hornets, bald-faced hornets, and which is even worse than a bee sting. And put it on there, and I had Walter watching his vitals and constantly, and he was like a dog, a hound dog on a coon, and I keep watching him and whatever. Literally within 2 minutes, his skin color's coming back. Walter says his pulse is coming down, his BP's coming up. Right at 2 minutes, his BP was up to the upper 90s, to the lower 70s. His pulse had come down, color is coming back. His level of consciousness was back normal. 2 minutes. He now didn't want to go to the hospital. I said, you really need to go. You're really allergic. I don't know what's going on here. You really need to go on. Finally, ambulance finally comes. I tell the medic what I'd done. Loads him up. Takes him, how far? 7, 8, 9 miles. Now we're out in the mountains. Takes him 9 miles and 5, 6, 7 miles. 7 miles. And medic goes, I don't want the ER doc getting on me. And an ER doc, you can, if you're a medic, or you can get in trouble by using things out of your scope. Using charcoal is out of your scope now. And so he washes it off. And my guy tells me, he said within 1 minute, his lips went numb and he went out. So leave it on. And if you do use an EpiPen, 2 things on EpiPens. Number 1, do not hit your finger, because you'll probably have to have it amputated, because you've got a lot of tissue in here that it can diverse in. But if you hit one of your fingers or a thumb, it will kill it, and they'll usually have to amputate it. Number 2, if you use an EpiPen, it might last for 20 minutes. And people go, I'm fine. That's why many of them have 2 doses, so that you can use one and the other one's still as you're going to the hospital. And so don't think that, is it dead? Oh, is it coming back? Okay. Oh, did my computer do it? There we go. So if you do an EpiPen, it may only last 20 minutes. And so if a person is using an EpiPen, you got to get to the hospital. I had a guy, this is really cool. Isn't God cool? He really is. I get a call one Saturday night. It was, I don't know, maybe 9:30 Saturday evening. And it was after dark. And someone called me from Central America. How they got my number, I have no idea. And here I am in Newport, Tennessee, and this guy's in Central America. And wherever it is, they had scorpions. And they said they have 3 scorpions and 1 is deadly. And that's the one this guy had gotten stung by. And they were 6 hours from the hospital. What should they do? I said, well, pray. Put on a charcoal poultice and go. Because we don't know. Don't be presumptuous. And I said, go and just hang out in the parking lot. If he gets worse, take him in. Well, they put the charcoal poultice on, took off, got to the hospital, just hung out in the parking lot for a day, and drove back home. God healed it. Isn't that cool? Yeah.
I took a class on charcoal once.
Yeah.
Don't use it on spider bites.
Oh, not true. Not true. I've used it on all kinds. You can use it on black widows. You can use it on the brown recluses. There's no telling how many people over the years have come in with brown recluse. Totally kills it. Yeah.
We want to take it
Oh, absolutely, you would. You would. Now, I can tell you why. Who taught the class? No, what is... Oh, the question was, he took a class one time, and I don't want the person's name. And the person said don't use it on spider bites. Were they a medical person? That's why. Yes.
My husband had gotten a bite under a house and he didn't know what it was. And so it kept getting worse. And so we went to a general surgeon friend of ours. Sorry. And so we went to a general surgeon friend of ours. And he thought he had gotten a piece of metal in there. So he started digging at it, trying to find the piece of metal to get it out. And there was no metal in there. He put him on some antibiotics and sent him off. Well, but that evening his hand swelled up as big as a baseball mitten glove. And it was coming up his arm. It was already past his elbow. He stopped taking the antibiotics because he was given heart palpitations. So we called the surgeon guy back in the evening, and we told him, well, his hand's really swollen like a baseball mitten. And he told him, well, you need to take double the doses of antibiotics. So then my husband's like, well, he really didn't want to do it because his heart wasn't, cooperating with it. So we went home and we did fever baths. And we put charcoal, and the charcoal wasn't quite getting it. So we mixed it with clay, European green clay, and we mixed it with that, and we just kept it. And you can literally, when the clay stuff would dry up, you could see it pulsating, like if it was drawing the clay. And it ended up being a brown recluse spider bite. And we had to pack it because it ended up being a deep wound hole, and it was eaten up inside. And we just kept packing it until it healed inside out. And then now you can't see anything there. So he had a very bad bite that got really, really bad, and a spider bite, and we used the clay and the charcoal with it.
And let me speak to this person's defense who taught the class. One is they don't want to take the risk in someone getting a bite and it might not working. And so then that person doesn't go to the hospital and they could die. The second reason is sometimes we learn up to so much and we just don't have experience up to here yet, so we teach what we know. And so that can happen also. Yes?
That brown recluse leaves a ring, doesn't it? Looks like a pimple with sometimes a ring around it. A friend of mine, well, the only reason I'm asking is because a friend of mine got bit like that, cleaning insulation out of an attic. And by the time he was done, his name was Angus. And he looked like Angus.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to a hospital. By the time they was done, it looked like they scooped his arm with an ice cream scooper. I mean, that's how much that
It's terrible.
destroyed
It does.
his arm. So
Absolutely.
Isn't that the little warning, like the pimple-looking thing, and then a ring, and then red?
Yeah, and that you can tell by just the wound itself. It's got that recluse wound look. Yeah. No, you don't. You don't. But the pulse, it's amazing what the charcoal will do. Yes, ma'am.
Joe once got a recluse bite, and I don't think we had the charcoal. And we kept, trying to put clay on it and everything, and it wasn't working. And so somebody had given us some figs, and I said, honey, you know what we're going to do? We're going to mash some fig up and add a little golden seal to it, and we'll put that on there. And that worked. Yeah, the fig and the golden seal.
That's
mixed.
great. God is good. He's given us so many tools to use, and it's not just one tool. Different locations can be different things. Antibiotics. Antibiotic resistance is among CDC's top concerns. Upper respiratory infections account for 3/4 of all antibiotic prescribed by doctor-based physicians. What is that? 3/4 of... So upper respiratory infections account for 3/4 of all antibiotics prescribed by office-based physicians. And what was the problem? Upper respiratory. Antibiotics are often used inappropriately. I'm reading CDC. More than 10 million courses of antibiotics are prescribed each year for viral conditions that do not benefit from antibiotics. I had a guy come in maybe 2 years ago now. I mean, he is mad as a cat on a hot tin roof. And I mean, he was mad. And he came in and he said, I just left the ER and the doc wouldn't prescribe my boy an antibiotic. And he's sick. And I said, well, what did he say he had? He said he had a virus. I said, well, good. He did the right thing. Many times they don't. Why do docs give antibiotics for viruses? Because the customer demands it. Yes, sir.
I just want to ask you guys, if you could please raise your hands and wait on the mic. That way everybody can hear it. And,
Oh, and the
online
people
as
out
well.
listening.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you want to talk, just raise your hand and we'll use the mic. Thank you. So, more than 10 million courses, more than, who knows how many more, it's a virus, and it's not going to do a job. And this is from the Infectious Disease Society of America. The losing battle against deadly bacteria is a public health crisis. I was walking down the hall one time and on the floor with my chief of staff, and we were talking, and he goes, I want to see every order for an antibiotic. Now, we had 30-some attendings, and I said, you're going to make them mad. Why are you doing that? Because I'm going to have to take the blunt. Why are you doing it? They're going to come to me. And he said, we are using cannons when a BB gun would work. Someday, we're going to have super viruses and super bacterial infections and super viruses and problems. And he was right. This was back in the early 90s. I was listening just a year ago, and this top, guy on, I'm trying to remember his specialty, but he was saying our antibiotics are no longer working effectively like they used to. We've got to go back to the Amazon and find more phytochemicals. Isn't that amazing? Got it.
Are they not working for people who've been doing antibiotics their whole life, or would they still be very effective for those that rarely, if never, do antibiotics?
That would be true. That would be true. What happens is a combination. You got another question here. It's a combination of people who docs are just used to, we had to take a look and see what was going, what it would work for, and now they just throw it at it. And I know we'll throw another one at it. The other is we're getting antibiotics through the food, or they are. Well, I'm not, because I'm not eating that food. But people are getting antibiotics through the chickens, through the whatever meat that they're eating.
As far as impetigo, what would you like? That's typically a antibiotic, well, orally or topically. Is there something else if it's not out of hand that you can use for that?
I would use the allicin. I would use, which is garlic. I would look at marrying golden seal and echinacea. It's amazing. They work very, very well together. And Dr. Watkins taught me to use 2 mLs 5 times a day, 2 ml 5 times a day for 30 days. And usually golden seal will say, 2 weeks, but he and the doc that he worked with found 4 weeks is very effective. Just stop after 4 weeks. Because golden seal is unlike, and echinacea are unlike garlic, where you can use garlic every day. Golden seal and echinacea, not that you're going to have a bad reaction, but the efficacy starts dropping. Like if you took Cipro all the time, it's going to quit working, like what we're seeing. And so you want to stop at least by 30 days. Both. PO, systemically and topically. You can use the garlic topically. And so you can get a garlic gel, like an allicin gel or an allicin cream. Infections, those are things you can use for infections. Allicin, golden seal root, vitamin C, olive leaf. I like olive leaf very, very well. Dr. Agatha Thrash taught me to use olive leaf for viruses. Colloidal silver. All right. Got it? Okay, yes.
I just want to share something that happened to me a couple years ago, or 3 years ago. I had a massive abscess in the base of my scalp, and I didn't want to do any antibiotics, but the pressure was so bad, I went to the ER, and I asked them to drain it, and the doctor didn't want to drain it. They did blood cultures, and they took me to CAT scan, and they found that it was very large, 6 by 2 centimeters. And they said, we need to put you in the ICU and put you on a vancomycin IV. And I said, no, I don't want to go to ICU. Well, if you're not going to go, You're going to lose your muscle tone. You could die. You could go unconscious. Well, me and my husband went home, and I continued to do hydrotherapy. I did golden seal. I did garlic, nothing pharmacologic. And we prayed, and charcoal poultices. And 10 days later, the ER doctor called me, and they said, "We're so worried about you. How are you doing? You have MRSA." And I said, "Oh, praise the Lord. He healed me." It completely drained. I didn't do a single antibiotic. And the phone went click. They hung up on me.
Well, that's a crazy lady.
I just want to, it was a very dark valley. I thought I was going to die.
Yeah, he didn't believe you.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
So all those things worked
Right, it
for
does.
me. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, his mind, she didn't know what she's talking about and just hung up. Yeah, it's terrible. Yes. It's exciting. It's a lot of fun as you work with health issues and where you had this mentality to before, and God changes that, what you call brainwashing, and you see where natural actually works much, much better without the harmful effects. Yeah. Allicin is an active ingredient of garlic that has antibacterial, antifungal, antiviral, antiprotozoal activity. I'm reading from NIH. Allicin exhibits various biological properties like antimicrobial, anti-cancer, antioxidant, immunomodulatory, anti-inflammatory, hypoglycemic, and cardiovascular effects. So we do use allicin also for blood pressure. Also, it raises HDL very well, so you're going to pull down your total cholesterol. These are things that we use it. It's an OTC. It's an over-the-counter. You don't have to have a prescription. Preppers love it because it's an extremely, extremely strong antibiotic and antibacterial, antifungal. MRSA, it works better than vancomycin for MRSA. We've even used it for vancomycin resistant and totally wipe it out. So it's powerful. Some more things that we use it for. Vancomycin is a drug. It can be either by mouth or by IV, but it's very strong. Immune system, things, as you look at the immune system, there's the top three. I call them the top of the S's, and that is, number one is stress. Neil Nedley talks about 1 minute of stress and anger can lower your immune system significantly for 4 hours. Sugar, a 12-ounce soft drink will take out your immune system 50% for up to 4 hours. Add a Snickers bar, not the ones today, but the Snickers bar is about that big when we were kids. Add you just a basic candy bar and a 12-ounce soft drink. Now for the next 4 hours, only 1 out of 14 white cells is going to work. It's 13 of those you just anesthetized for the next 4 hours. A milkshake, average size milkshake, an average cut of slice of cheesecake will lower your immune system 92 to 93% for the next 4 hours. And who just drinks 12 ounces of soft drink? I mean, they're doing refills. They're doing gulps. They're doing 48 ounces. I had a guy come in one day. He had diabetes. And so we're talking about him doing a history, and I'm trying to figure out, his water consumption and what else he drinks. He says, "I don't do water." And I said, "What do you drink?" He says, "I drink Mountain Dew." I said, "How much you do?" And he goes, 3 liters a day. We negotiated down to 2 to start with. You got to negotiate with people, y'all. I mean, plan A is the best. Yeah, plan B is okay, but I got people who aren't even on the alphabet. And so you've got to at least get them on Z. You got to start somewhere. And when I went to UT, I don't know if any of y'all know about Tennesseans or North Carolinians or Appalachian people, if you've ever dealt with us before. When I went to University of Tennessee, they told us that the Tennessee mind is the hardest mind to change. Now, can you see that being an issue of gospel? Would that make it more difficult for us? Absolutely. But they said the Tennessee mind is the hardest mind to change. The North Carolinian mind is the second hardest mind to to change, but the Appalachian mind is the hardest of the hardest to change. And if it's daddy did it, granddaddy did it, it's good enough for me. Kind of like if it's good enough for Paul and Silas, it's good enough for me. If I work with, let's say I come in and you come in and you have cardiovascular issues, and I ask you what you eat, and you're eating biscuits and gravy and ham, chitlins and whatever, and bacon and steak and eggs, and I say that's killing you. I'm finished with him. He is not going to have a thing to do with me, because I said that's killing him. I just said his wife is killing him, and his mama and his grandma was killing him, the food that they ate. And I was telling him that food is no good. He's done with me. He has nothing to do with me. That's just the Appalachian mind. And so I have to say, have you ever seen what bananas can do for you? Man, bananas are really got great potassium. Your heart needs potassium. Try a banana. I don't do fruit. Okay. Could you do a half a banana or a fourth of a banana? And you just start little at a time. I don't do water. Well, could you drink maybe a cup of water a day? Just give me 1 cup. That's all. 1 cup. You got to start. And that's just how you have to do it. Sleep is significant on lowering the immune system. Lack of sleep, that is, boils. So boils are a blood issue. Blood issues. And so you got to clean the blood. Now, the best treatment on that boil is a charcoal poultice. And if you want to speed that up, is you put tea tree oil in there. And the tea tree oil will speed that up so the boil comes to a head faster, and you've got that charcoal poultice on it. Once that opens, then you put a wet paper towel between it because you don't want to tattoo it. And the neat thing about using a charcoal poultice, anybody ever had a boil? A boil? The core can get really hard, and it can press against the skin, and it can cause more of a scarring. Well, when you use a charcoal poultice, it doesn't get as hard, and actually when it comes out, it's kind of like a volcano coming out. It's soft, and you have less pressure against it. Yes, ma'am.
We use shredded potatoes.
Potatoes are.
And it will bring the root out.
Yes, she's saying use shredded potatoes and charcoal.
Potatoes and
Absolutely,
charcoal.
taters are
Excellent.
great for it.
Overnight.
Absolutely.
It'll bring it out, the root.
Yes, absolutely. And so there's different tools that God has given us. Also, it's a blood issue. So let's get to the root cause. And probably my favorite is chaparral. Chaparral. Anybody ever done chaparral? Nasty. Yes, you need a clothespin with it. It's nasty. There is some things that you can do where you use capsules. When I was 2 weeks ago, when I was over in Phoenix and up in Flagstaff talking to the Navajos, they said they don't take it by pills. They just drink the tea. And I said, y'all are strong. The only people, if I have someone with cancer, I'll have them drink it because I need that volume. But let's say I get a kid that's in high school or a girl in her 20s, 30s that's having acne. It is the best thing I have found for acne, and that is chaparral. CH. Don't ask me the rest. But chaparral cleans that blood very, very well, and you don't have to. You want it to. You can take a capsule, 3 caps, 3 times a day, and it works very well for boils. It works very well for acne. Great for acne. The kids at the high school will come and get it. I've got. I know a gal. She's 18, and so I work with her quite a bit. And something else, and I wanted to say, I want to help you, but tell an 18-year-old girl your face really looks terrible, awful, and you need to use not the thing to do, and so I thought, I prayed, God, have her ask me, and it was months, and finally she said, Chief, do you know what I can use for acne? Oh, yes, God answered my prayer. I do. And so I gave it to her. I gave her a 300 pack of activated charcoal. And you got that pack there? A little pack like what she has there is a 300 pack. And I saw her a week later. Chaparral. Did I say charcoal? See, Mary Lou needs to be here. So thank y'all. It was chaparral. And I saw her. Again, I didn't say anything because I didn't want to. And we were talking. She's, oh, thank you. And she says, it's so much better. I said, yes, it is looking good. And just in 1 week's time, had huge benefit. So it worked quite well. Pardon? By mouth, yes. Now, if I'm doing a cancer, I'll do the tea because I'm using a quarter of a cup of the cut and sifted. But the Navajos, they use it for stomach aches. They use it for all kinds of stuff. Skin issues, they use it. I thought, boy, what if I put calendula? Who's ever used calendula or calendula? Great tool. And I thought, boy, that would work great because they're using it for skin issues. What if I use that and chaparral and calendula? And when I went to their little shop, they had a salve, calendula and chaparral. Be interesting what copaiba would be with that because copaiba is also good for the skin really well.
Excuse me. So the chaparral, can you use that for acne for drinking? Can you make a tea out of it?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. It's just nasty. It's easier to do the capsules. But yes. Copaiba. Copaiba is the most anti-inflammatory phytochemical in the world. It comes out of Brazil. Are our Brazilian folks here? Where's our Brazilians? You're from Brazil? Where are they? Where is she? She here? I'm missing. Where are? Help me spell it, y'all. Copiaba? A-I-B-A? A-I-B-A. Copaiba. It's amazing. It's the most anti-inflammatory. I've got a guy who came in. He was having at least one grand mal seizure a day with epilepsy. He had to quit working. He worked in construction, and he would fall off the roof, fall off the ladder, broke all kinds of things, and he finally had to quit working, driving, and so one time he came in and Walter actually grabbed him. And he says, let's try some copaiba. Walter's done a lot more with essential oils than I have. And I've sent him off for schooling for that. And the guy's been over 5.5 years, not one seizure. He takes 4 drops in the morning, 4 drops at night, sublingual. It works quite well. Brazilians use it a lot topically on the skin. I wish I could see our gal from Brazil. But they use it a lot there for skin issues.
On the chaparral, it's good for bronchial problems.
Yes, it is good for lung issues. Thank you.
I use that with my kids.
That's exactly right. The Navajos told me that 2 weeks ago. I didn't know that until they told me that 2 weeks ago. They use it for pulmonary issues. Yes.
Is it safe to take chaparral long term and regardless of your age?
It depends on who you read.
For you.
Yes, it is long-term safe because I have the kids in the high school. It's how much you take. It's kind of like 25 years ago they did a study on ginkgo biloba and said, oh, it's dangerous. They used the wrong part of the plant in the study.
So it's safe under a certain dosage? Is that what
yes,
you're saying?
so if you're doing like 3 caps 3 times a day like the kids are using for acne, we've had no problem. None at all.
Does it have a drug interaction? Or, I mean, like if they're on a breathing machine or anything, will it affect like their medications or should they get a medical advice first before?
I would double check that if you want a good answer on that. Mm-hmm. Who knows what the PDR is? Physician's Desk Reference, PDR. The same company that makes the PDR makes a book called The PDR for Herbal Medicine. PDR for Herbal Medicine. Excellent book. And it will tell you, you can look up chaparral, and it will tell you the indications, contraindications. It will show you the dosing. It will show you what medications not to take it with, herbs to take it with. It's an excellent source. Yeah, like poke. Who knows what poke is? Does poke grow here? Poke? Poke root? Okay, poke salad. Like in there, it will say an adult can eat so many berries, but a child cannot eat any berries, and how much to use. If you take poke, you got to know what you're doing. Like if you have cancer or need to clean some, the blood out with poke. What you do is you can go dig up your poke, get you a root about the size of your thumb, put it in a pot, and put a quart of water in there and boil it for 20 minutes. Throw that tea away because it will kill you. It's poisonous. Put in another quart of water, boil it for 20 minutes, throw it away. The third quart that you boil, you can drink that as a tea. Yeah. So yeah, you do need to don't just go start using things. You got to study it and know what you're dealing with. Pardon? Red clover. There you go. And who told us to drink red clover? Were we not told to drink red clover every day? No. Well, I'll see if I can find it for you. Insomnia. Now that's a big one, and we're seeing a lot of insomnia issues, especially post-COVID. And the problem is there's two issues. There's one, falling asleep, and the other one is staying asleep. And what might work for you may not work for her. And what might work for you for 2 weeks and then it don't. It's kind of like deodorant. You got to change deodorants every once in a while. The same is working for this. It works great, may even for 1-2 nights and quits working. It might be a week or month. It's constantly changing. And so it's really a frustration what we're dealing with insomnia right now. But there's a lot of tools that we can use for insomnia. For falling asleep, what works best for me, my problem is turning this off because my brain just runs. And I get to work and I get there. My consults start between 7:30 and 8 every morning, and I don't stop till 6 o'clock. And I mean, it's just wide open. And then I've got fire department stuff, and if there's a bad call, I might even have to leave. So if you have a consult and I'm not there, it might be I'm on a fire call. But I make lists of what I got to get done. And I'll go home at times, and I didn't check one item off. And that drives me nuts. And the problem is I have a list for tomorrow. And I'm laying there trying to think, what am I going to do? And Mary Lou will notice, if she ain't fallen asleep yet, she can fall asleep. I mean, she usually falls asleep on the way home. But she'll say, here, take an ashwagandha. And she'll give me an ashwagandha or maybe sometimes two. And poof, I'm out. It doesn't make me sleep. It turns my brain off so I can go to sleep. So even sometimes in the daytime, I'm wide open, and she'll say, you need to calm down a little bit. And so she'll give me an ashwagandha, and that'll slow me down. Now, if I sat down in a chair, I might fall asleep, but I'm still going, so it just calms my brain down. Another thing that can help me fall asleep is magnesium oil. Who's ever used magnesium oil? You can use it as a spray. I don't like the spray because you can get overspray, kind of like spraying with spray can, and you get overspray. I use the magnesium oil, a roller ball, and it rolls on there like a deodorant roller ball. It works out very well. And I put it on my feet, and transdermally I go in, and that can help me fall asleep. Good question. It itches. So, anybody ever know Dr. Daniel Dreher? He passed away 3 weeks ago over in the mission field. But Daniel taught me 20-some years ago to use magnesium oil. But it itched like a bunch of centipedes all over you. It's terrible. Well, I found if you add aloe with it, so you can buy it with aloe, and it doesn't sting and itch. Works a lot better. And I like the roller ball seems to do a better job than the spray also. And so I've converted over to the roller ball. If you have a heart issue, magnesium oil transdermally is tremendous for rubbing on the heart. If a person has, say, congestive heart failure, and you rub that on there, it works very, very well. So I use the magnesium oil, but here's some things you can take a look at. The hardest people I ever had fall asleep was when we used to work together, and we'd have people come in after 9/11, and we're coming up next month on 9/11, 25 years ago. And our patients out of New York City, out of Washington, D.C., they couldn't sleep. They just couldn't sleep. So I called Dr. Walter Strachan that I talked about the other day, a psychiatrist. And I called Strachan and I said, what do you recommend? And he says, well, this is what I use for a lady if her husband's fallen. Her husband's passed away and she's hysterical. It works. So we did. We did 2 tablespoons of valerian powder, 2 tablespoons of hops powder, and 2 tablespoons of skullcap powder, and 2 cups of water. Made the tea, and the next morning, nobody was able to sleep. So I called him back. He goes, okay, do it instead of just 8 o'clock, do it full dose at 6 o'clock, do full dose at 8 o'clock. Called him back, didn't work. He says, these people are really fractured. He said, just keep backing up 2 hours, you'll be fine. So we did 4-6-8, didn't work. We did 2-4-6-8. And for 6 months, that's what it took to make these people sleep, was full dose, 2 tablespoons of valerian, 2 tablespoons of hops, 2 tablespoons of skullcap, 2 cups of water, tea, have them drink it, and it was powder. And it worked. And after that, the only other time I've ever had a person I had to do a 2-4-6-8 was a lady back 20-some years ago. She was in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, went in for an elective 40-something-year-old lady, or I think she was 44 years old, and an anesthesia went bad, and it destroyed her brain. And she had a problem. It worked for her. You can add passion flower to that. That's good. Magnesium, we talked about. That's just taking magnesium using Calm, and that helps people sleep. Magnesium oil, chamomile. The other thing is don't eat supper. Supper affects it. Why? 2 reasons. Pardon? One is you don't make as much melatonin. When you eat supper, you don't convert the serotonin. The pineal gland doesn't convert the serotonin into melatonin as readily. Yes. Oh, hang on just a sec here.
So the magnesium, I'm told you should do the magnesium glycinate to go to sleep. The other types, there's another one, starts with a C.
Citrate.
That one will actually, I think, give you energy, so that one would be good if you're exercising, but the glycinate would be good for going to sleep.
Yeah, there's a whole mess of different kinds of magnesiums, and so see which one works best for you, because they work different for different people. So what happens is when you eat supper, you don't make as much melatonin. Now, melatonin does not make you go to sleep. It doesn't. Melatonin helps you stay asleep. The other problem is if you eat within 4 hours of laying down, the food has a propensity to putrefy and ferment, and that affects the brain and quality of sleep. Should I tell this one? Should I tell y'all? Oh, okay. So back when Mary Lou and I first got married, we didn't understand this kind of stuff, and I thought I had to watch the news every night so I could talk intelligently the next morning about what happened on 11 o'clock news. And we didn't have CNN. We didn't have nothing back then. It was just local news on antenna. And so during the news, we'd eat Breyers ice cream. Y'all know what Breyers ice cream is? Breyers ice cream. And we could eat quite a bit. And so one morning we were getting ready, and I said, have you noticed we just don't sleep as good, and we're more prone to have dreams, and we got more problems with stomach aches when we eat the Breyers? She says, yeah, I've noticed that too. Sometimes it just takes a while for the light bulb to come on. But let's see here. Tryptophan can help. Tryptophan helps to make serotonin, and then the serotonin will make melatonin. B complex can help calm a person. There's a question over here.
Just to go back to the skull cap real quick, I was going to check, is that American? Does it matter if it's American skull cap or the other kind, like the Chinese?
I haven't noticed a difference. Good question. Because it can matter, like your echinaceas, Poperia, Augustifolia, there can be some differences. Yeah. Sunshine, what does sunshine do? That makes more serotonin, because as sunshine comes in the eyes, it stimulates the pineal gland to convert the tryptophan from your flaxseed into serotonin. And then when you don't eat supper, when you go to bed early, your pineal gland then converts the serotonin into melatonin. There's all kinds of things we're using now for trying to help people fall asleep. And it's very difficult. You just have to keep trying and seeing what seems to work best. Lavender oil is a good one. Absolutely. Some people will spray it on their pillow, and that will help them fall asleep. I think ladies better than fellas because y'all like to smell better than we do. Lavender essential oil is the number one essential oil in the world. Yeah.
I heard that tart cherry juice
Excellent.
has tryptophan, but when would one take it in order to help with the sleep? When would one drink it?
Yes. There's some people take it in the daytime. Some people take it at nighttime. So you just see what works best for you. But it is true that tart cherry juice does help people fall asleep. It's also the best thing I found for gout. Well, number one, what causes gout? The root cause can be the meat, and we used to think only just red meat, but it don't matter what kind of meat now. I mean, you can have fish, pigs, chickens, deer, any kind of meat can exacerbate gout. And then any kind of a legume can exacerbate it. And that means pintos, and that's the challenge. I mean, we grew up on pintos. Lentils, soy. Green beans are not a lentil, string beans. And so you could do string beans. Another one is sugar of any kind, high fructose corn syrup, alcohol, well, that's sugar. Some people spinach, some people oatmeal, some people brown rice. So those are the causes. But the best way to attack it is the tart cherry juice. And the other one is, I had a guy who liked making beer, his own beer. And he's a state trooper. And he would have to drink a quart of tart cherry juice a day to address his gout. And he finally said, it ain't worth it, and he quit making the beer. The other one is celery seeds. Work very well for gout. 3 caps or a teaspoon 3 times a day, and that works great for gout. Yeah, there's all kinds of things we're finding that can help. Copaiba. I have people using 5 drops of Copaiba under the tongue, and that's helping them fall asleep.
This isn't a drug, but I watched, it was a testimony of a lady that was dealing with her husband. He was dying over a long, like 3 years, and she was his main caretaker. And she found that if she wrapped like a T-shirt around her head at night, she could sleep better. And her sister she goes, can you make me something? So it's called Wuggle, W-U-G-G-L-E. Mm-hmm. And it's just a little cap, but it puts a slight amount of pressure
That's interesting.
on your head. And there is some science, there's some science behind it that will calm you down. Again, it doesn't make you sleep, but it calms you down so you can sleep. And she says even her 10-year-old grandson, after he comes home from school, he's got ADD, and he'll put this cap on because it gives him a calming effect.
Good.
So it's called W-U-G-G-L-E, Wuggle.
Okay.
And it's just a cap, and then they actually have a little, you can get a lavender seed. It's very small, and then you can put that, either warm it or cool it, and that helps also.
Excellent.
So anyway,
Good.
it's called a Wuggle.
Thank you. That reminded me, who's ever done a wet sheet pack? We use wet sheet packs on psych patients to calm them down, but you can also use it on sleep deprivation to help a person to fall asleep. I had a guy one time come in, and I forgot how long he hadn't slept, and he went nuts on us. He was throwing chairs, throwing lamps, whatever, and he went out and tried to drown himself in the pond. And so we brought him in, and we did a wet sheet pack on him, went right to sleep. I have a lady in Canada, and for 2 years now, That's how she has to go to sleep every night. Her husband wraps her up in a wet sheet pack. Now, here's caution. Here is caution. If you do a wet sheet pack on somebody, now she can do it because she's been doing it a while. But at the very beginning, when you do a wet sheet pack on somebody, you take a sheet and you take your ends, fold it in, fold it over, roll it up like you would a salvage cover. You immerse it into ice water. So ice water is 32 degrees. Wring it out, but not plumb. And then you have the person stripped down to pretty well nothing. And then you roll it out. They grab the other end. You grab your two ears, open it up. They jump in there, and you put from here down, every piece of skin is touched. At first, it's cold, but cold is going to bring what? Heat. They fall asleep. It calms a psych patient down very, very well. And that's what she has to do. Now, what is the problem with putting a person in that wet sheet pack? When they wake up. Pardon? They can't move. And it freaks them out. They might be claustrophobic like me. They may try to get up. And they try to get up and they forgot that they're in this wet sheet pack, and they try to get up and they roll off the bed and they break their hip. Oh. And so you want to stay with that person if you do it as a treatment. And now this girl, she's used to it. She's been doing it for 2 years now. And she knows when she wakes, and so she has to, get her husband to untie her. But it's an excellent tool for helping a person to fall asleep. So you have to, and again, every person is different. You got to find out what works for that person. Oh, thank you. Yeah, a neutral bath works very well. Epsom salt bath can work well too.
Okay, all that you shared reminded me of something I'm dying to know, and I don't want to divert from what you plan to do, but do you have any protocols to help with autism? Because I'm meeting too many parents that have autistic children. So
I think we're addressing that right now from a proactive standpoint. The MMRs just got busted up into 3 this week or last week. Yeah, so I'm very excited to see that, to address it from more of a root cause issue. That's excellent. But it's not just that, and I won't be blind to say it's just that. The best thing I have found for autism is hyperbaric chamber. Now, anything less than 1.6 atmospheres, anything more than 1.7 atmospheres is not very effective. It's between 1.6 and 1.7 atmospheres for 40 to 60 dives. And that is the best thing that I have found for autism. Yeah. I mean, it's true that it's good to, the whole food plant-based diet and normal, all that stuff. But nothing else was working until we added the hyperbaric chamber, and we're seeing much improvement. And you can get hyperbaric chambers a lot more now in that range. The challenge is if you're attacking cancer, and cancer you need to be between 2.4 and 2.6 for best results. And Memphis was the only one in Tennessee back until just 2 years ago, or 1 year ago. Chattanooga got one in. And so, but for that 1.6 to 1.7, you'll find folks having those. Stress. Number 1 diagnosis. Rest, nutrition, water, exercise, trusting God. Flaxseed. Flaxseed has tryptophan. Tryptophan is going to make serotonin. Kava. I like kava because kava doesn't make you fall asleep like chamomile, hop, skullcap, valerian. I believe in working, but it will calm you down. These guys will put you to sleep, and the Bible says you don't work, you don't eat, and so we got to work. But kava will calm you down, and it won't cause that problem. Ashwagandha helps great with that. Another one that I'm finding that's working quite well is saffron. Now, these guys have a product called Terry Naturally. Do you carry Saffron Lift? But you carry, it's a great tool. It really is. And the nice thing about Terry Naturally, it's guaranteed. Use the bottle, if it doesn't work, take it back, get your money back. But Saffron Lift is excellent for stress. Oat straw, yeah. Oat straws, and we talked about, I forgot about that one yesterday for hormones. Oat straw is excellent for hormones. Yes, thank you. Oat straw is great. That's also good for your hair. Pardon? Oat straw? Ashwagandha. Saffron. Saffron. Saffron's the most expensive herb I've ever carried by weight. It's very expensive. It used to be cheap, but it's just the stamen out of the flower is what it is. B complex. Back in 77, I was at Florida Hospital, and there's an old doc, and we were working on stress issues, and he said, Walt, the best thing I ever found for stress is B complex. It helps a lot. Lithium orotate, I learned from Neil Nedley. Lithium is excellent. When you are stressed, you dump B, you dump lithium, and you dump magnesium. And lithium orotate works better than lithium aspartate. Yes, ma'am.
I've heard different things about kava kava. Is it not something?
That's the one that they went and studied the wrong part of the plant.
Oh, okay. I heard it was more like, like a drug almost.
Yeah,
but it's not.
It's okay. Kava's fine. They just didn't do it right. So the lithium orotate, and this is really cool. Do y'all like learning stuff? Like I had a friend, Dr. George Kim called me. He's an internal medicine guy over in North Carolina. He called me a couple years ago. He goes, Walt, I just left a conference and I just learned this. He said, did you know that if you eat after 2:30 in the afternoon, they can now look at the mitochondria under the microscope and tell the change because it changes even the shape of the mitochondria? Oh, boy, that's cool. He said, mitochondria, we're now learning, is a major transfer of cancer, is the mitochondria. And we know that mitochondria is the powerhouse, and that you're more prone to transfer cancer if you eat after 2:30 in the afternoon. Just such cool stuff. Well, so Friday, a week ago today, a doc came in, and his wife uses lithium orotate, and he's also internal medicine. And if you know internal medicine guys, they got to have like libraries worth of information to make a decision. But so he comes in, and he goes, his wife used it on his son for an issue, and it worked, and he was there. And he goes, let me do some more research. So he goes to NIH, and he starts studying. And he found that kava helps to repair the myelin sheath. That is neat. So I'm really anxious to start using that for MS, Parkinson's, anything myelin sheath issue. So it's real good. But Russia, years ago, back before the wall fell, they would have their people near, you know what hot springs are? Well, they would have lithium springs, and they would have their people go and bathe and drink the water in lithium springs because it calms you down. Lithium is amazing in calming you down. And Neil uses it a lot in depression, in stress, anxiety. Classical music is also good. Neil uses classical music a lot to calm folks down. Trace minerals. See, the issue is, here's our problem. We got fats, proteins, carbohydrates. And if fats, proteins, and carbohydrates are on 8 cylinders, these new kids don't know what 8 cylinders are, but if you're 8 cylinders, fats, proteins, and carbohydrates, to make them work, to kick them on to be running at 8 cylinders, you have to have a catalyst, and that catalyst is vitamins. And that then, if vitamins are on 8 cylinders, then fats, proteins, and carbohydrates will run at 8 cylinders. But then there's a catalyst that kicks the vitamins on to be 8 cylinders, and that's minerals. And if minerals are 8 cylinders, then vitamins will be 8 cylinders, then these guys will be 8 cylinders if you take an adequate amount. The problem is we're not taking enough mineralization. And the reason is, we know that we talked about the other day, heirloom seeds versus hybrid seeds. Hybrid seeds only uptake 40% of the nutrients out of the soil that the heirloom seeds do. We know that we have processed foods. We know that, an example, if you spray Roundup on a crop, when Roundup hits the soil, it binds the magnesium. So when you eat corn, wheat, soy, alfalfa, well, horses eat alfalfa, cows or whatever, we don't, but we do take it as a supplement. And so any food that has Roundup sprayed on the ground, that plant will not pull up the magnesium because it's bound in the soil. And so we're just not getting the minerals. And so trace minerals are amazing. It's like NOS. It's going to kick on and kick the nutrition on. Yes.
So I've seen where you can buy like the trace minerals in like a drop form or something, but I was wondering about like Celtic salt because that has all the minerals in it. Would that work in place of buying like specifically something that says trace minerals?
Yes. So you're going to end up with more variety of trace minerals when you buy the trace minerals. But there's a salt out there that works really, really good, and it's from the Sea of Cortez, and it's called C90. C90. The problem was with Fukushima, and Fukushima messed up the Sea of Cortez, and we had some radiation issues in that, and so we don't use that anymore. But so what you can do is you can make your own trace mineral liquid, and it's called SOL, S-O-L. You take a pint jar, a mason jar, and you put, say, Celtic salt, which is out the coast of France. Put you an inch of it in the bottom of the jar, and then pour in your water. And you can put the top on, shake it up really good, and then it will settle down, and it will become its salinity. And then you can take, say, a teaspoon once or twice a day, and that's your trace minerals. You're going to get minerals from that. As the salt goes away, you just add more salt. As the water goes away, you add more water. And that's called SOL. And a lot of people use that as their own trace minerals. Pardon? 1 teaspoon once or twice a day. But trace minerals are vital for your other nutrients to work. It's just, it's not going to work. Bleeding? Yes, ma'am. Or just any kind of a jar. Pint jar, quart jar, mason jar. Either one. It doesn't matter. It'll still work. Yeah, it'll still work. It just, what it's going to be, the salt is going to mix in with the water, and it's going to come just a normal salinity. Bleeding, when bleeding, what do you think of on bleeding? Cayenne. Cayenne's excellent. What's the first thing you do? Pressure, elevation. They're telling you're not doing that elevation anymore. I don't know why, but anyway, I do pressure and elevation. Direct pressure, elevation, cayenne pepper. We use in first aid what you're using now on the units. We're on the ambulances. It's a pack that you use, and it's got cayenne in it. European goldenrod, shaved grass. There's various things that will help to stop the bleeding. We talked about yesterday bleeding internally. We're using the shepherd's purse, the yarrow. That works well. Oh, we're going to wait for this. Okay, so externally?
Yeah, externally.
Okay, so how do they do it?
They just, they're out working up in the mountains, and they might get a machete cut. So they'll get some tobacco leaves and just kind of mash them and put them around there and do pressure.
And that'll stop the bleeding. Yeah. Excellent. Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. If you have internal bleeding, let's say you have ulcerative colitis, and let's say you have no intact tissue at all on your colon, and that can happen. And so you're having just major, major bleeding. 2 caps of cayenne pepper, PRN, can be very effective in stopping the bleeding. Nosebleeds, you can snort a little mixture of cayenne and water. Also, nose bleeding, you can take, they taught us in school to take ice and chip it up and put it under our lip, and up here, the upper lip, and that coldness causes vasoconstriction, and that can be beneficial. Just don't clog the holes. It does a little, but it stops the bleeding. Yeah. One time we were going to a camp meeting, and actually that camp meeting's not gone for years, and it's going to be next month again over in the row camp meeting. And we were getting ready to let go. We're in the car, and Mary Lou forgets that she wanted some avocados. So she runs inside, and back then we just had an open cooler with a big old piece of plastic with some bricks on top of it just to keep it inside, keep the air and the coolness inside while we were gone. And so she pulls it back, and to get an avocado, she pulled in a rush, pulled the brick off, and it hit her in the head. And I mean, she looked like a stuck hog. I mean, she's just bleeding all over. Well, Walter went and got some cayenne pepper, and at the sink just poured cayenne pepper in it, and it stopped it. Works good. Fibroid yarrow, red raspberry, shepherd's purse, lady's mantle, crane's bill. Externally, I would look at using some castor oil packs. Nosebleed, raise arm above the head, cayenne dissolved in water, extract of witch hazel. Nosebleed. That's a good question. It's a good question. They get it? Okay. Bleeding ulcers, internal stomach ulcers, colon ulcers. Start with 1/4 of a teaspoon 3 times a day. Work up to 3 teaspoons 3 times a day, or you can do 3 capsules. Pardon? Pardon? Oh, that's cayenne. Yes, thank you. Cayenne pepper. And you can do the capsules. You don't have to have it unload in the mouth. Burns. There's different types of burns: heat burns, cold temperature burns, electrical burns, chemical burns, radiation burns, friction burns, like carpet burn. I'm not going to go into the types of burns. You want to cool the burn. Place it under cool running water for 20 minutes. If you can't place it in underwater, put it in a cool compress. Do not put ice on the burn. The best thing I have found on burns is lavender essential oil. Lavender essential oil, if I had that first to put, I would. Back several months ago, I saw Mary Lou would burn her hand. And, the only place it could have been was on the oven. And I said, "Why you got you a burn?" And she said, "I burn it getting some food out of the oven." I said, "Why do you got a burn?" Then she knew why I was asking. Why does she have a burn? She says, I was just too busy. I didn't put any lavender oil on it. If you put lavender oil on it, it's amazing how fast it will heal. Significantly fast. Another one worked fast, but it's expensive, and that is helichrysum. Helichrysum is good to put on a burn. And there's a product that comes out of Georgia, Carolinas. And I'm trying to remember, it's a turpentine derivative. It's like suppentine, but something like that. And it works extremely well also. But lavender is my favorite. Lavender is just amazing. Aloe vera is good. When we used to be, Celia know a fella who went and he had to work on a furnace. So he went and turned the propane tank off. And he goes into the room where the furnace is, and he turned the light switch on. The light didn't come on. And so that's not a problem. He's got a big lighter. So he gets down, flicks it, and it exploded. I don't know why it didn't do more than it did, but I mean from here up, it burning. And it burned his hair off here, burned his eyelashes, his eyebrows. And he had a flash burn, but then he had flame burns. And it looked like a 57 Chevy with flames painted on it. These flame marks on his face. So he came in, and the first thing we do is we poured aloe vera on it, and it soaked up a whole quart of aloe vera. And I had the gals in dietary grind up and make or grade potatoes. And later we put them in Cuisinart. It wasn't fast enough. And we put potatoes on it. And the potatoes start out moist and wet, cool, but they'll get hot because it's drawing the heat. And so then we put aloe vera with it. And so we were constantly going back and forth between aloe vera and potato aloe vera. Aloe vera, potato aloe vera. And we did that for 5 hours. And we showed his wife what to do. We only had 2 holes here in the nose to breathe through. And we did that until he went home. We showed his wife what to do. She continued it. He had no scarring, none at all. And it was amazing, just simple. Cool the burn, lavender, aloe vera, grated potato, Epsom salt, burdock root, and comfrey. Those are all good. Many things you can use for burns. Colloidal silver. Who's worked in healthcare and used Silvadene? Remember Silvadene? Yeah, great tool. And I was working a house fire before Walter was even born. And I leaned over. It's back before it wasn't cool to wear hoods. Only sissies wore hoods. And so I didn't have a hood on. And I leaned over doing something on the outside. We were attacking outside. And tar came off the roof and went down my neck and down my back. I went into work, and the nurses put Silvadene on it. Mary Lou bought me a hood, and I became a sissy. Now you can't go in a house fire without a hood. But colloidal silver will work the same as that Silvadene. It's a silver. Calendula, chickweed, bee propolis, golden seal, marshmallow root. That's not the marshmallows you put on the fire. Cover the burn with a sterile dressing. Burns, what's the number one thing you have to worry about burns? Infection. That's right. Do you want to break the blister or leave the blister whole? I have people tell me that, oh, you're supposed to break the blister. No. Why do you not break the blister? What? Infection, and it hurts more. Yeah. For pain, wild lettuce, California poppy, Jamaican dogwood. Also something, do y'all still have any of the cumin? One of the best things I have found for pain is cumin. And I was doing some research on it the other day. And the effect, and what it did is it looked at the pain-killing ability of cumin versus that specific product, cumin, and wild lettuce. And it actually said cumin was even better than wild lettuce. And that was impressive, because wild lettuce is very good. Cumin is a very, very strong curcumin from turmeric. The Cure Med, it takes up to 500 capsules of turmeric to equal just one capsule of the Cure Med, which she has. But the cumin, my dad had multiple injuries on the farm. He had 4 back surgeries. He was on a morphine pump. It did not cut the edge. Significant pain. And I took Dad the cumin, and he would take 3 in the morning, 2 at noon, and it worked better than the morphine pump. Amazing. I mean, just amazing. You can take as much as 3 capsules 4 times a day. You can do 5 or 6, but it can cause a loose stool. The neat thing, again, it's a Terry Naturally product, so it's guaranteed. If it doesn't work, it works great. And so we use cumin and it's turmeric. Now, the turmeric, a lot of people say it has, and we talked about this the other day, says it has to have the black pepper. This one does not have the black pepper because Terry found that he could add the turmeric essential oil, and therefore you don't have to have the black pepper. Therefore, you don't have the irritant to the gastrointestinal.
You kind of got ahead of me. I was going to ask you about the black pepper. 2,000% increase of effectiveness, as I'm told.
Yes.
With black pepper. Now, generally we don't do black pepper, but in the case of an acute situation, you have turmeric, you have black pepper. Would you not? I mean, would it be tolerable for a short term?
Yeah, if you did it short term, or if you had that one, you wouldn't even have to. Or if you had some turmeric essential oil, and it worked. But yes, something real short term to get rid of that pain. Yeah. Who's done Jamaican dogwood? Who's from the Caribbean? Jamaican dogwood is another great one. And wild lettuce is phenomenal for pain. Watch for signs of infections. Do not use ice. Do not use oil. One of the old mountain remedies my grandma thought was good was to put, you want to guess what it was on the burn? What? Some people put butter. She put Crisco shortening. Crisco shortening. No, that's not good. Don't break the blisters. Let's see here. Oral care. I've got 4 minutes. Mouth sores. First of all, mouth sores are usually digestive problems. So if you have mouth sores or tongue issues, go to root cause is probably somewhere in the gut. Fix the gut. Pine sap on mouth sores are good. Aloe vera. Golden seal is a great tool. Myrrh gum powder. Bee propolis, activated charcoal. Salt. Salt works good. Gum disease. Golden seal, myrrh. I had a lady come in one time, and she just died the other day. She's back in 2005. She came in, and she was just a squalling. And I said, "What's wrong?" And she said, "My teeth." She said, "I just left the dentist," and she says they're all wallering like a bunch of fish, and they were not at all intact. And she said, "Remember when we were kids?" She was my age. And she says, "Remember when we were kids and we go to school and we eat a peanut butter sandwich and it hurt? Remember that? Y'all remember that? Do y'all ever eat peanut butter sandwiches at school? No. And you bite and you had a loose tooth and it would hurt if you bit in on the peanut butter sandwich." And she said, "Every tooth in my mouth feels like that." She says, "All I can do is drink soup." And the dentist said it was going to cost $3,000 to pull every tooth in her head and put the cheapest set of dentures. She says, "I ain't got it." And that was in 2005. And I said, "What do you think I said?" "Let's pray." Yeah, let's pray. And I'm serious, y'all. It's so important. If you think you can do it, you're going to fall and you're going to bust your nose. It is God that has the wisdom there. Pray and ask Him how to adjust it and what to do and ask Him for healing. And so we prayed. And so I was standing at the herb cabinet and I was impressed. Okay, let's get golden seal. Let's get myrrh. So we took a teaspoon of golden seal, a teaspoon of myrrh, and we took a cup of water, made a tea. Is that young'un okay? Hopefully that young'un's okay. A teaspoon of myrrh, a teaspoon of golden seal, and mixed it together, made a tea, cup of water, and I told her to swish for 2 minutes and swallow 4 times a day. In between times, put pine sap on there. 6 weeks later, she comes in. I said, "Regina, what happened?" She goes, "I just left the dentist. All the infection's gone." Isn't that cool? It's so cool. God can just stop. Ask Him what to do.
Pine sap, even in the wound, you can leave it and let it heal in the wound, and then the same thing because it's something you can actually eat. And
yes,
okay,
absolutely. You got one here?
I just want to make a note. I just saw this. The infrared we were talking about yesterday. I
Yes.
saw this thing where you can put the infrared in your gums and leave it in like 15
Far
minutes.
infrared would be extremely good for that because it increases perfusion. Yes, any of these issues, far infrared is going to extremely help.
So you're saying with the pine sap, are you using the pine sap from the tree? Is it
Yes.
powder?
The pine sap from the tree, and just rub it in the gums at the tooth and gum line. Just rub it in there.
Okay, so earlier you had a picture of the pine sap. You can actually see the pine sap, and the old lady was saying when she was a little girl how her dad was dripping it in a cup with water, and you drink that.
Just drink it.
Okay.
Yes. Yes. And before we get to this question, we got a question over here. How many of y'all know Dr. Chester Clark? Dr. Clark taught me that when you're having gum issues, gum disease, again, vascular flow. And he says you get the softest toothbrush you can get and you massage that each quadrant for 2 minutes. So that's 2, 4, 6, 8. That's 8 minutes of your time. He said, do it each evening before going to bed, brush your teeth, and massage that. And he says that will increase vascular flow to help heal the gums. Dr. Clark's a great guy. If y'all need a good dentist, he's down at Ouachita Hills. He's a biological dentist. Great guy.
So I had a root canal that didn't take, and he gave me an option of an insert, pulling tooth, several very, very expensive processes. And with the insert, you got to put a cadaver bone in your mouth. So I have a little lump on the side of my jaw that it comes and goes, so that's infection. I understand that. I mean, I've thought about a flipper dentist or a denture, just one. I could afford that, but so I guess you got any miracle solutions?
So, yes, I do. I have one. And I'll finish with it in just a moment as I finish. So, Dr. Clark, and I can tell the story because he told it on my radio show. Dr. Clark had some implants, and then he read Weston Price, and where Dr. Price was saying the problems with implants. And so Dr. Clark flew across to Knoxville, Tennessee, and went to a biological dentist there and got all his implants taken out. And I now go to that dentist. And implants are not the way to go, according to Dr. Price and Dr. Clark. Once it's gone, it's gone. But let me finish with this story. A guy calls me up, and he tells me that he had a wound, and it was obvious they didn't do good wound care. Should not have had an amputation. Should not have. It was a simple wound, and they just did poor wound care. And they amputated his foot, and he was calling me to ask me. He had phantom pain, but he wanted his foot back. Now, the first thing you'd say is, it's gone. It's gone. And then it was, does the Holy Spirit ever do that something to you? And go, tell him you can get his foot back. But God, help me here. Tell him you can get his foot back. Yeah, you can. Okay, I can get your foot back. What? He goes, don't mess with me. I mean, this guy was so depressed, he was almost suicidal depressed. He was really messed up because he had lost his foot. And he really was having challenges, seriously. And he says, don't mess with me. I said, I'm not. I can guarantee you 100% I can get your foot back. And he says, how? I said, you got to do 4 things. You've got to accept Jesus as your Savior every day, not just when you're 8 years old. Number 2, you got to spend time with Him and become friends with Him. Know Him. Don't just know of Him, know Him. And that's what we're talking about last night, and that's what we're talking about this weekend. Know Him. I said, because when He comes back, He says that those that don't spend time with Him, that He doesn't know. No matter, you could have healed demons or whatever out of a person. You got to know Him. Number 3, if you've done something wrong, ask for forgiveness. And don't do it no more. Number 4, read your Bible. If it says to do it, it says do it. If it says don't do it, don't do it. And the Bible says, guarantees, if you do those 4 things, you can get your foot back when Jesus comes. Now, you and I would say, oh yeah, okay, what else? This guy got so excited. I mean, it was like the shades were taken off his eyes. He says, are you serious? Yes, sir, I am. I'm very serious. You can get your foot back. When Jesus comes, you do those 4 things, you will get your foot back, and you'll spend eternity with God in heaven. Do you see how the 2 work together? It's not to be separated. It's true. The 2 are not to be separated, and we'll talk about that tomorrow. And it's a way that is an entering wedge that you and I would have said, oh, well, that's just, this guy got so excited. So, yes, you can get your tooth back. If you follow those 4 things, God's going to give you a full head of teeth.
Well, I meant more immediately.
Immediately. If it's infected and if it's an implant, it's not good. Okay, so let me share something you could try. 5 or 6 years ago, my dentist, who Dr. Clark went to, I started going to him after Clark went to him. He said, Walt, you've got a tooth right here that's got to be pulled. It's bad. And I said, well, it's still good and strong. And he said, Walt, you don't understand. As much traveling as you do, you never know what weekend it's just going to go bad and pain. You know? I said, what's my options? Money. Money's my options. Or have a tooth right here that it's not right there. I said, okay, let me pray on it. And we can say that in Appalachia. If a doctor don't understand that, he needs to go somewhere else, because we pray about stuff in Appalachia. We're in the Bible Belt. And he said, okay. So what I did is I went home, prayed on it, and I used 3 things: golden seal and myrrh, swish really good. I used Alimed, swish really good, and I still got that tooth. And he checks it whenever I go in, and he's totally surprised. And so you could try using those things, but I'd pray first and ask God what you need to do. And whatever he gives you peace at, that's what you want to do. Good. Okay. All right. Okay. Well, we've running out of time, y'all. What? Oh, gum disease. You can do comfrey also, just like a comfrey, putting a comfrey salve on there. Yeah. Yeah.
What was the name of that dentist?
Oh, the one in Knoxville or one in his name is Kai Gardner. K-I-E, Gardner, Springwater Dental. Well, we got another question back here.
I'll try to make it real quick. For 2 years, I had no taste or smell.
Mm-hmm.
Tried everything, went to every specialist. Finally, I prayed about it. Not that I hadn't been praying, but I really zeroed in on prayer. I was led to a dentist that did natural things. He led me to a book called Root Canal Cover-Up. Basically, the gist of it was every tooth that had a root canal got pulled. Every tooth that got pulled, my smell came back.
Wow.
My taste came back instantly. I mean, like, one tooth would be pulled, suddenly I could smell my son-in-law's aftershave. You know, it was just amazing.
Yeah.
So infections in there when you might not know it. So anyway, my
Good
recommendation is pull the tooth.
All right. So let me share real quick. I didn't bring stuff to sell really, but I did bring some stuff I can show y'all. Y'all can come and look at it. This is a series I did on called the Herb Cabinet. This one's Old Mountain Remedies. Y'all can come take a look at them. I brought a couple with me. If anybody wants some Alimed, just let me know, and I can get that for you. And no, I didn't. I didn't know to. And then here's some business cards. Y'all can get some business cards if y'all want some business cards. But I did bring a couple of these sets here if you want to get some of those. And then we'll ship them. We ship from Australia to Africa. That's all Walter does pretty well is shipping. So, all right. Well, let's close with prayer. I went over today. Our dear Heavenly Father, again we thank you for your love and your care and your patience with us. Lord, you gave us this information a long time ago, and we keep dabbling on the other side. Give us that trust to use what you've given us. Give us that trust to read your books and to understand physiology as you have written. Not for just ourselves, but also that we can help our families and our neighbors and our co-workers, but also that we can use it as an entering wedge, because you've told all of us that we have a responsibility on that health side also as a medical missionary. Lord, as we go home and we take this information, help it to whet that appetite, to give us that hankering, that thirst, that hunger, to be a medical missionary. We ask this in Jesus' name. Amen. Yes. 110. And just make it to the mustard.
What's the story on the clock thing? I started for
So Hawthorne has a half-life of 4 hours, so you've got to take it 4 times a day. So you can.
when it's ground, it's not. It's like flaxseed. Oh, so
But you still take it 4 times a day because of the half-life, and you can use anywhere between 2/3 to a teaspoon 4 times a day.
okay, well, that's quite a bit then.
Yeah, stir it up in a tea and drink it.
Yeah, I was just doing it as a preventative thing because my blood pressure was going up.
So is that why you're using a 1/3 to? Thank you, ma'am. Allimed is a very strong garlic that works extremely well. Yeah, you can, or you can. Give me just a moment, and I can show you how to do it.